So I wanted to do a very quick rant about sewing machines. I joined a Facebook group, and it was the sewing room, I think. Yeah, it's awesome. It's super cool. So if you're into sewing, you should join that. But there was this conversation about sewing machines, and a person who was new to this trade was asking about what's the best kind of machine to get. And of course, there's a million opinions. There's the Remington, the Brothers. Everyone's got an opinion. But there was another conversation about this girl who had an opportunity to buy for $100. $100. How many Starbucks can you buy with that? Anyway, she had the opportunity to buy an industrial serger. Sorry, because she doesn't have a serger, and for $100, that's a steal. And people just jumped in and they were like, "Don't do it! Don't do it!" I'm like, "Why?" Well, it's a vintage machine. It's a vintage machine, so you're never gonna find parts for it. If when it breaks, who's gonna service this machine? Who services your machine when your machine breaks anyway? Shit. Anyway, so I wanted to go through a very quick rant about the different types of machines. If you're a newbie and you want a machine, and someone is selling an industrial machine in your area for $100 and it works, I don't care if you don't know how to sew. Put some finger guards on because you're going to sew through your finger 47 times. But get it. You'll never regret it. Just go for it. But seriously. So if you're looking for a new machine and you don't want to kill yourself and you don't want to hate your life and you don't want to hate sewing and give up, don't buy a Walmart throwaway. Don't buy a, $90. I think the Kenmores are still out. I don't even know what's out now. But they're made of plastic. So the problem with those is you're sewing along, you're finally getting the hang of it, right? Or maybe not getting the hang of it. You're just shoving material under and hoping that, God protects you. But the point is, you're sewing along and then all of a sudden you have your 3 layers of tulle and it's stuck, right? It doesn't want to sew anymore because it can't handle the pressure. Fine, that's not a big deal. So you take it out and your machine is making like this crazy ass noise going, because that's kind of what it does when the motor gets stuck, and it's like, and you're like, oh my God. So you take everything out and you clean up the machine and you start again. All of a sudden your needles start breaking. I wonder why. Or your machine is still going. Two things could have happened. You blew your timing or you broke a gear. I started my business actually on those machines. I went and I buy each machine for $200. You know how long they last? I mean, in a setting where we use it pretty much every day, I think it was maybe like just under a year I had to buy a new one. So this became like a yearly thing. So we'd have to buy 2 new machines a year, and the overlocks are even worse. They would last because the cutter is running and then the cutter gets jammed, and when the cutter gets jammed, the whole mechanism gets jammed. All of a sudden you have your timing thrown off. To time a a serger is more expensive than fixing a machine. So we would be spending $100, $150 to fix them. The thing only costs $250. So if you're in a setting where you're actually like sewing and you're making shit and you want to sell shit too, don't buy that. Don't do that. Get yourself an industrial machine. For that $500 that I spent on the 2 machines plus repairs, I could have easily bought a used vintage, or even not even that vintage, industrial machine. So here's the difference. So if you're just starting out, you've never sewn a day in your life, and you want to go get that Kenmore because it's got 500 stitches, you will hate it. Well, you might not hate it, but if you're going to be actually actively sewing and you want to like make a dress and you want to like do more than 2 layers at a time sometimes, you're going to hate it. You're going to hate it so much. And then when you finally get it, it's going to break. And then the second that you get it fixed, you're going to pay $75 for diagnosis, or maybe Jack who knows how to fix machines and he's going to do it for $35. The thing is that once they fix it, it's going to break even faster the second time. And I'll tell you why. So here is a vintage machine. This is non-operational. I have to rewire it because the wires are shit. Let's see. Da-da-da. Anyway, but the point is, look at the inside of this machine. If this machine gets stuck, let's say we're sewing along, right? Sewing along, da-da-da-da-da, and something gets jammed. This is all metal. there is very little that can actually move here that's going to cause this machine to flip its timing, you know, which is honestly not that hard to fix. Oops. Here's the other side of it. Look at that. This is all metal. I don't see any plastic gears in this one. There may be a couple celluloid gears somewhere in here. Not in this one. But some of the machines have a couple celluloid gears, which suck. This one does not have any of that. Here's the inside of it. See that? Look at that. Everything is metal in this machine. It's a great machine, by the way. I can't wait to fix it. Just don't have the time, unfortunately. Here is a vintage Sears Kenmore. Look at this. Look at that. It's got cams, so it does switch stitches. But if you look in here, I don't know, can you see that? Yeah. You see all that? Look. Look at that. You see those gears right there? That big old gear that's, oh, sorry, somewhere in there rotating. All of that is solid metal. There is no celluloid in here. There is no plastic in here. Nothing here is going to snap off and start clanking inside of your machine. See, look. It's a little messy. I just bought this one. It has no foot, so I don't even know if the motor works, but if it doesn't work, it's like 20 bucks, man. See? So if something gets jammed in here and this thing stops and it wedges shut, none of this is going to shift. Nothing is going to break in here. Now, if you want to buy one of these machines, flip it over and see if there's any plastic gears anywhere in here. And the same thing with the top. You can pop the top off most of these and see if you see any plastic in there. If you don't see any plastic in there, that's a score. And these machines usually run for like, I don't know, like 20 bucks. I bought this for $5 because it has no foot. So there's a couple things I have to do with it. But if you find one for like $20, it's going to last you forever. Plug it in and see if it runs. And if you don't know how to sew, just make sure to take all the threads out so you don't get it all tangled mess. And if the mechanism is running and you get it for 20 bucks, and let's say it's not sewing perfectly, by the way, you can find there's models on here. Hold on. See, this is the model number. So inside each one of these, you lift it up, there's a model number. So you can usually find the manuals of all of these Sears, Kenmore, Brother, all these old machines. You can find them online. They still have these manuals. And you can download them and you can see exactly how to thread this damn thing and how to use this thing. And also you can learn a little bit about machines because these machines are made of metal and they're easy to work with. So if something shifts, there's techniques that you can use to fix it. Replacing a plastic gear that's cracked off, you have to take all that shit off. You gotta put that gear back on. And then if it didn't break, this is the other thing. So let's say that you have your presser foot, you know, sorry. So you're sewing along and you have your 3 layers of things and your machine jams and it's trying to rotate and it slips that gear a little bit. That gear is now warm. So you are going to be slipping gears more and more often, right? So eventually that gear is going to break off and it's going to be rattling inside your machine. This happened to me so many times, I can't even tell you. So this is never going to happen with one of these. This is going to be cheaper, it's going to be easier to fix, it's going to teach you more, and you're going to be much happier with it. So if you have that opportunity, get one of these. If you want to upgrade, let's say you already have an awesome machine that you love and you want to go faster, you can go. Oh, here's another one. Also, very cool. Look at this machine. Just look at this beautiful thing. Sorry, I do tend to make videos sideways. Okay. This is not a vintage machine. This is a modern machine. This is my she shed, by the way. I actually sew here when I can't get enough done at work. Okay, this guy I bought this for $1,000. But I painted it because he's the devil. But these machines, this is a 3-step zigzag. They're kind of rare. They're not rare, but they're harder to find. The Singer 457. But you can find an industrial machine for like, I've seen them, I mean, depends on if you're like in a big city or in a small place, but you can, if you wait, you can usually find them for like $200-300 sometimes. Max 5, like a straight stitch, or even sometimes a zigzag. This is a 3-step zigzag, so it's a little harder. If you're like in LA, you can go to Atlas Levy. I buy my machines from Penso. I actually have them shipped to me if you want like something really high end. But there's so many options. So if you want to upgrade, you can go with one of these guys. This machine, I don't even know what year it's from, but it's got to be like from the 80s maybe. There's older machines. I have machines that are from the 60s that are still operational in my warehouse. So the only thing you need to know about them is that sometimes the motor can fail. You got a clutch motor, it's like $100. So let's say you've ran this machine for 5 years, and it burns out. It's $100. That's how much it's gonna cost you to time your stupid machine when you break your plastic piece of junk. You want to do industrial work, you want to like fix things cheaper, you want to make dog clothes or whatever. This is gonna help you because this is gonna go so much faster. It gets even better. Let's say you buy one and your clutch motor is a little slow. You can replace this wheel right here. You can speed it up. The bigger the wheel, the faster the machine goes. Don't go overboard, but I've done it to all my machines, and honestly, it's been totally fine, even though they don't recommend it. So, if you're looking for a step up, get a vintage, cheap, industrial machine if you have the space. It's going to cost you less money than those plastic machines that are going to break after a year or two. So, those are my 2 cents on machines. If you have questions on machines or if something's a good deal, feel free to message me. I love machines. I collect them. So, yeah, that's about it. And of course, there's no plastic in this one. It's solid metal. It's amazing. It's easy to operate. Look at that. Look at that beast. Okay, that's that. So, yeah, let's make some thongs later or something.